Welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm.
If you don't know our host, David Hamm, he's a 25-year NASCAR veteran, engine builder, and jackman.
Live every Monday evening, we have a new guest
From the racing world with their stories, their paths,
their
racing roots.
Sponsored by Jersey Cape Yachts.
Now here's our host, David Hamm.
And good evening, everyone. Welcome to Racing Roots with Hamm, right here on 550 and 92.9 WAME. Hope y'all had a great day. It's been a pretty wild day with all the storms and things we had going on here in beautiful downtown Statesville, but they're all pushed out and the sun is shining in on us here in the studio. And I've got Mr. Danny Earnhardt Jr. in here with me this evening. How you doing, Danny?
What's up?
Good to see you, man. I knew your dad, but I guess the first time I really met you, but I've been around a lot of the same group of guys that you were around or still around, actually.
Yeah, it's a tight-knit group.
Yeah.
Everybody knows my dad, and it just seems like I always fell in line with him because we get to travel to the track or whatnot, and now I'm working hands-on.
Yeah, there you go. So you're actually making your debut in the radio world right now. So you're on the radio. You told me that you were interested in doing some radio stuff. So here's your big shot.
Oh, yeah. Podcasts have always intrigued me.
Yeah.
Twitch, gaming, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just not really, I'm just competitive, so I don't really fit that quota, but I've always loved radio. I love podcasts. Like, I just think when Dale started doing it, I was like, man, it's always like we see eye to eye on that stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
Like, oh man, it
So
looks fun.
what does Dale say to you whenever you say, "Hey, let me jump in on your podcast"?
I really never had the cojones, but I voiced it to Mike Davis. I'm like, hey man, I wouldn't mind having my own show. Like, but obviously I got way bigger problems than that.
Yeah, well, I understand. You got your wife and your youngin'.
Yeah, another one coming too.
And another one coming. So yeah. So you're pretty much tied up for a while.
Yeah, full on.
Or then again, you could go and you have a spare bedroom.
Well, I got a bonus room, but it is full of toys right now.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? A good place to do a podcast is in a closet.
Yeah, it'd work out. I got a little attic space, maybe.
That's right. Yes. So Dale Jr.'s, we'll give a shout out to Dale Jr. His podcast is Dirty Mo. Something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Wonder why he called it Dirty Mo.
That's weird, ain't it?
Yeah.
That made no sense.
We'll have to have him call in and ask.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Give us a call, 704-873-9929. So, I could call mine Dirty Hamm, I guess, but no, we're not really.
No.
Maybe this will be so good, he'll be jealous.
Yes.
I should have had him on my show.
Maybe he'll learn a thing or two, but you know what, because, I think you're going to do great. Because you got the Earnhardt genes in you and all that kind of stuff, as does my wife Tracy.
Yeah.
She's a part Earnhardt herself. So, in case you didn't know that,
In case you didn't know.
somewhere down the line, I've done the family tree a little bit for her, and I found the exact connection. And at one time, but there's your grandfather said he used to go to
Ralph's Garage
over there in Kannapolis. So, yes, pull that mic a little closer to you.
And Uncle Dan.
Both of y'all. Pull the mic a little bit closer. You want to be about right here. So.
My Uncle Dan says he remembers going to Ralph's Garage.
Okay, there you go. So, yes, there's your first lesson in podcasting is you got to get close to the microphone. So, these microphones are made to where you talk straight into them pretty much. But you don't want to have that popping sound and that kind of stuff. But if you turn away, it kind of gets echoey, kind of like that.
Oh, yeah, I could tell on yours.
Yeah, so that's what they're made that way so that they drown out anything else going on. As you've heard, we have like these
Ambulances.
little
Fire trucks.
That's exactly right.
Motorcycles.
Yes, Statesville's fine. It's passing by, but that's okay. But we also have the little rockets, whatever we want to call them, little cars. I'll be nice about that.
I'm not going to say it either.
There should be an ordinance around here. We always say that. We'll have some live music in here, and then we'll hear, or not that sound. It's more like a zzz. Anyway, so there you go. So, yes, y'all are tuned into Racing Roots with Hamm. You can listen here on DHammiam on YouTube and watch us here live in the studio, as well as on 92.9 FM, 550 AM locally, also on WAMEradio.com if you're outside of the local range and you want to listen online. So there you go. But this show is about you, Danny. We want to hear your racing roots, like how you got started. It's your path, your story, your roots.
Yeah, I mean, I probably can't match up to a lot of guys you had here because I've grew up here my whole life. But I honestly didn't even want to be in racing. I didn't really care much for it. When Big E died, it just even made it worse, really.
Sure.
Not that we were terribly close or anything, but it was just kind of like, why would I want to be really involved with something? But, you know, I needed work, really. I played baseball my whole life, so I wanted to play baseball. I didn't really care about racing.
Yeah.
And I got more out of baseball as I went along. And I was 15, and, you know, I don't know if y'all know it, but my mom's a Uri, so Tony Uri Sr. is my uncle.
I was going to ask you how you were related with the Uris.
Yeah, that's my mom's brother.
Okay.
So, yeah, I got Uri and Earnhardt in me,
Yeah.
which is very unique, obviously.
Yes.
So you think
yes.
I'd be almost like the perfect
Yeah.
match or whatever. But,
Right.
you know, so they people don't know it, but since they're so involved with racing and DEI at that time, you know, we're talking like, you know, 2004, 5 right there. And I needed a job. I needed some money. So Dad wanted me to work, I think. I don't really remember if he pushed me real hard to do it, but they were like, hey, you can come up here and clean some cars at DEI. You know, Pops was there, Tony Sr. was there, Tony Jr. was there. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do that, you know, whatnot. So I'd go up there from 3 to 5 and just clean cars, and that's all I did. And I really didn't care. I just wanted the money. And then I'd go in on some Saturdays and help Dad. Dad was doing, my dad used to work at the mill, and he carried tires, obviously. And then when the mill shut down in Kannapolis, he went to DEI, which was Chance 2 with Truex when that started. And then when Truex moved up the Cup, they just got rid of Chance 2 kind of. So Dad actually got moved up to the Bud shop. So that's where I was cleaning cars. So all worked out timing wise. And then so I'd help him like paint suspension because he's still getting his feet under him a little bit. So he didn't really need help, but he was just making sure his I's were dotted, T's were crossed or whatnot. So he'd go on Saturday, make sure I go help him paint them or whatever. And then like I kind of got more interested, and the more I thought about it, I just didn't do as good on my grades probably if I needed to do. Like kind of lost interest in baseball, lost interest with grades. But I mean, I wasn't like really in trouble, but I just didn't care enough probably.
Yeah.
And I didn't do too good on the PSAT or what, I don't know what they take now, but back then it's SATs. And I wanted to be a vet, so I really wanted to be.
Okay.
But I wasn't going to be able to, it was going to be a long road. I knew it, and a lot of money. And I was like, man, I don't know if I really want to spend that much money or get a loan for that much money or whatnot. So long story short, really, I just kind of figured out what those guys were making doing racing. And I watched what they do, and I didn't feel like they really, you know, pushed the envelope, you know.
It's not like you had to have a college education.
Exactly.
to-
You know, it's hard to explain to people when people ask, but it's like you kind of see what they're doing, but they make it look easy. You know, you don't know that at the time, but they make it look easy. And I'm like, man, I just feel like I could do this. Why do I need to go to college to spend money? So I kind of got more interested, and I got a real competitive nature in me. And it started really to come out because I could see what they would do to try to get on top of the competition. And, you know, as far as, you know, officials, like try to get stuff by officials or working with them or even just being friendly. And I like talking to people, and I like interaction. I was like, man, just that guy being nice to that guy helped them get to a certain point at the racetrack. Because I got to go to a few races, you know, and I was like, oh, okay. I even went down and, not to backtrack too much, but I even went down, we would go to Daytona. Dad would take a week off, and we'd go down there. I'd take a friend. So I was actually at the 01 race when he won with the All-Star car, which we're running this weekend as a throwback, which is
Awesome.
it was pretty cool, you know.
Sure.
So, I mean, that was obviously cool, but even that stuff really didn't push me this way, you know. It was just more of being competitive, and I almost saw it as an easy route. And then as I moved up a little bit, like I was just cleaning cars, and I was doing like half days at school, and they count as work as a credit. And the next thing I know, I was like kind of rebuilding all the suspension a little bit. And the front guy, I work with him now still, actually, he wouldn't really trust me to hang it, but I could take it off all day. But he wouldn't trust me to put it on.
Right.
But I got to put a few of Dad's underneath stuff on, and that's kind of how I progressed. And then DEI obviously went south, and Dad moved over to the juniors. Dale called him, wanted to come over there. And I wasn't really sure what I was going to do. Tony Gibson was kind of running the shop. Tony Jr. done went with Dale to HMS. And Pops, I tried to get on the road with him a few times. He was doing the Menard deal with Paul. And he really didn't want me to come down there. I don't know if it was because he didn't believe in me or he just didn't want me. And he called it a mess. But, I mean, it seemed like they were running fine to me, you know. But he ended up going to juniors, too. And I was like, all right, well, Tony Gibson wanted me to come with him. I'm pretty sure they were going again at the time, if I remember right. And I was going to do Dad's job. And I was like, man, it's the first time. I mean, I wasn't making nothing doing what I was doing. I was like, man, first time I actually get something on my feet. And I just didn't know because DEI just felt so home and sturdy.
Yeah.
your family,
Sure.
and things are changing quickly, right? And Dale's moved on. There ain't no one there. Dad's gone. I'm like, man, I don't know. Well, finally, Tony Sr. called me and was like, hey, this 88 team needs another road guy at Junior Motorsports. You want to do it? And I'm like, yeah, let's go on the road. That's
Yes.
what I want to do. I want to go on the road. I want to travel. I want to see it. I want to see what's going on. So I took it, and that was in October of 2007.
Okay.
And I've been here ever since. And when I came, I thought I knew stuff. I didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
I knew nothing. And I was an interior kid. I ain't never worked on interior. I didn't know nothing. I thought I did. I knew nothing. And I literally had to learn from the ground up. I remember forgetting wires in the car, just some simple TV stuff. And I'm telling you, Tony Sr. had a special spot in his heart to let me have it.
Oh, yeah,
I
sure.
mean, cuss me out. I mean, he would let me have it. And
Broke you in.
oh yeah, and I thank him to this day because he pushed me to what I am. But Tony Jr. is more of a quiet type, but Tony Sr. would drive it in me, and Dad was kind of like it's all good. He just kind of let me be. But them two pushed me. Well, Senior pushed me really hard. Like if I messed up, he let me have it. It wouldn't even be my fault, and he would make sure I knew that I should have made sure.
Well, that he's a very smart man, and that's one of the things he knows how to build character, and that really just means he cares, because I find myself kind of doing the same thing to people that I think are gonna do good, but I want them to do better.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my way of just putting a hammer down on them, because I don't want them to make little mistakes and things, because everybody makes mistakes, but how it is in racing. You make a mistake and you're going to cost $50,000 or a driver to wreck.
Absolutely.
When I was building engines, if you leave an oil line loose, you could cause a major catastrophe, that kind of stuff. But my Tony Sr., so they were on the Bush team back in the day with Earnhardt Sr., and they would win pretty often. I think they won Daytona like 8 times or whatever. So I would always make a point to walk over there from the Cup garage over to the Bush garage and see them guys and hang out with them and whatever. And I knew Tony from, I guess, probably about the time you were born, as I mentioned. But he, and so he was always just a great guy. But one time I was like, hey, They called me up and asked me to come over there and try out for the Jackman for Michael Waltrip in 2001. Before the season started, he ended up winning the Daytona 500. And afterwards, after the fact, I felt like that whole deal was just set up to try to get their Jackman to step up his deal at the time. And so, but I also had interviewed with Richie Gilmore. So I really didn't take the job. They didn't offer me kind of the job that I wanted to do. And so I went back to the racetrack in 2004 at Talladega, and I was walking by the hauler, Junior's hauler, and I saw the hand like, come over here. It was Tony Sr., so I'll walk in there, and then here comes Richie Gilmore a few minutes later, and he's like, see, I told you we should have hired this guy. Look how good they're running over here. I had Kurt Busch that year, and we won the championship that year.
Good year.
But yeah, we were kicking some butt. But I always thought that was funny. I was like, yes, well, thank you, Tony, for doing that. But he wasn't gonna, stick out his neck too far and say, this is the guy. He probably wanted me to jump in there and do it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Myself. So there you go.
He's hard to read.
Yeah, he is. He is for sure. And so he ended up with Lynn Dury. So, and she and I used to hang out at. I'll just tell you the whole story, real quick. My first wife, my kid's mom. So we were married in, 89. My daughter was born in 88. If that tells you anything. So I got to know Lynn around 89, 1990, because my wife was working in Charlotte at this place called Faison and Associates downtown. And so we'd always have the company picnics. So Lynn and I were like we were at a place, the company picnic. I felt like it anyway. But we were the big NASCAR fans. We were Ernie Irvan fans. And we would sit over there and just talk racing and talk NASCAR and stuff. And we used to get together and hang out, watch the races with everybody kind of together. And then, that sort of, we went our own separate ways and whatever. Next thing you know, she's dating Tony Sr. I was like, how about that?
That's insane.
Of all things, it just, kind of worked out that way. But that's how I got to know Tony, from Christmas parties and things like that. Yeah. And this is before I got into racing. I was like, hey, Tony, I want to get into NASCAR. Can you help me? But, like I said, he never really, I think he wanted me to do it on my own, which is what ended up happening. So
make your own name.
Yes, that's exactly. Just I'd say he had to do. I mean, with the Uris and Earnhardt's raced head to head back in the days in Metroliner,
like Ralph.
places.
Going back to the Uris, like Ralph Uri, coincidentally, obviously both of them are Ralph, but they raced each other.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, it's just a crazy world of how connected it was. You know,
Yeah.
and Dale actually introduced my mom to my dad.
How about that?
That's nuts to me. Like,
Yes.
it's crazy.
It is, ain't it? And I think your grandfather probably raced down there with them as well
Possibly.
till he had his accident, and then he wasn't
His
racing
one
anymore.
race.
He was a Thompson.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? Yeah, it
I
was a
think it was
newspaper
one race.
article.
I think, yeah, he got in a pretty bad wreck,
Yeah.
and he said, "That's it."
But he
I'll
was a
stay on the
mechanic.
sidelines."
Yeah, he was a mechanic down at Holman and Moody.
Yeah.
So, and her dad was as well. All right, so that's it on that. Did we have
Talking
any questions?
about 6 degrees of separation, David and I are actually cousins as well.
Yes, I married my
Down,
cousin.
down the line, hopefully.
Yeah, it was.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, 6 are good. They're way good.
Yes, our common grandfather was in 1792. Maybe I shouldn't have dug that deep.
Yeah.
But I just kind of had to know.
I'll tell you a great thing about Pops is I'll never forget when we had a radio problem one time. We had a messed up year that year. Kelly Byers didn't quite have enough money, so we had to run Dale at Daytona, which really put Kelly behind because he couldn't win the championship without running Daytona, more than likely anyway.
Yeah.
So we went to California first race, and I remember the radio wasn't working, which are always bad out there because of all the trucks and the hot interstates right there, and all you heard was static, and it was terrible, right?
Yeah.
So all we hear is beep, 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 and being beeps, not being beeps, obviously.
Yes.
And we're like, oh my goodness, what's going on? Like, because we
Right.
can't see the track, we don't know what's going on. We don't know if we're wrecked. It's practice, what
Yeah.
could possibly be going on?
Right.
He pulls in, he rips that window net down, and he looks at Kelly Byers. He says, "Can you not hear me?" He says, "I hadn't heard you say a word."
Oh.
And he turned to me and laid me out, right? I mean, just I'm like, okay. Come to find out, it was just kind of one of them days. We had to switch to channel 2. Wasn't really nothing wrong with the car or nothing.
Yeah.
But going back to that, like him just wearing me out, and then as soon as that garage closes, you'd be riding in the van. He'd like, "Hey, where we going to eat tonight? Come on, man."
Right.
He'd be tuck you in, be like, won't even talk about it, but you just know it was okay. Like
Yeah.
you just knew, hey, you messed up, or I thought you did at least, and,
Right.
and we just make sure everything's right, and that's what he did to me all the time. He would get me.
So maybe that was his way of sort of apologizing, but not really.
Oh yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
the other one is we had a fireball. I was in Terry, obviously, and we put fire bottles in.
Yeah.
And one of the lines cracked. Like, he came by. He's just hanging out, checking out Speedway car. How's it going? He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just putting these fire bottles in." It might have been 8 o'clock. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I struggle because the line has to be longer, et cetera, et cetera. So I had to find the perfect one and all this stuff. And anyway, I get it all the way in. And it's a long process. Takes like an hour. I don't know why. It was bad design.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I end up pricking it, so it's spitting out. Like not bad, but just enough. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah.
So we get it all done. I get it out, and I go get another one. I'm getting it in, of course. So now it's like 10:30. Here he comes strolling by. Looks in there, and I'm in the exact same spot I was when he saw me last. But he don't know all the problems I've had, obviously.
Right. Yes.
Lays into
Oh, yes.
I mean, just annihilates me. And I'm like, no, listen. He didn't want to hear it. It didn't matter. It did not matter what happened. He did is unacceptable to him. He
Right.
laid me in. It was crazy. Like, he would always do that. So I always have my eyes like, I'm not making sure my stuff's on point.
Sure.
Yeah. And then finally, when he left, he moved on. He retired semi-retired. He went and did something else. And then Tony Jr. moved on. And when we had Bruce Cook, and that was like 12 or 13 or something like that. And I wanted to move up, so I finally got a chance to go to underneath because our underneath guy went up to car chief. So I went to underneath, and I did that for 2 or 3 years, I think. And then Greg Ives came. We've had a lot of big names obviously come through our place. But Greg Ives came with Travis Mack, came down from HMS as well. And they let me be front mechanic. I did that until 18. And then we kind of looked like we're only going to have 3 cars. And I pushed it. I wanted a car chief. And I actually got a rare opportunity because usually a lot of HMS guys would come down for a shot, which was kind of what we were built on.
Sure.
Which was fine. Like, I understood, and the other 3 guys we got, obviously Billy and Corey and Jonathan, they're stable guys. Like, they're not trying to move up. It's junior motorsports is a great place to work. So they're just kind of stuck. I'm stuck, where I was. And I had some opportunities to go HMS and stuff like that, but it just didn't work out. Almost the same kind of deal you had, just wasn't quite what I wanted to do.
Right,
or
yeah.
just didn't line up right for me. And then I finally got car chief in 19, and we ended up getting a full season. So, and luckily they trusted me enough to do it. And I proved. I feel like I at least proved somewhat that I could do it. So I've
Well,
been
you
doing
must be doing good, because I know y'all got your first win. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit, but I want to let everybody know that's listening out there. If you're just tuning in, I got Danny Earnhardt Jr., and he is the son of Danny Earnhardt, obviously, which is Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s brother.
Correct.
If that's not confusing enough.
Makes sense to me.
And his mother was a Yuri as well. So, yes,
yeah.
throw that in the mix too. But we do have some questions coming in, and I'm going to take a quick break, play some commercials right quick, and we will be right back.
Real Country 550 and 92.9 WAME Statesville.
Hey, we've got Ryan Scott here at Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville. Tell us what's going on now.
What is going on at Randy Marion Chevrolet? How about deals? Deals. 2017 Chevrolet Cruze starting at $79.88. Yes, I said that slow, so you got it. $79.88. You will not beat that deal. We've got all colors, LTs, LSs. Come check them out today. And I'll tell you what, you know Randy Marion sells a lot of cars, but I bet there's one thing you didn't know about Randy Marion. He wants to buy your car. We're looking for quality pre-owned inventory. So come see us today at Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville. You'll leave here with cash in your pocket. Come see us today.
You know, now's the perfect time of year to prune your trees and ornamentals, and there's only one name to trust: Cheryl's Tree and Landscape Service. At Cheryl's, they take the time to properly prune your trees and ornamentals without leaving a mess behind. Take care of your trees now before they become an issue. It's a good idea to have your trees examined near your home, garage, business, or other structures, and Cheryl's will examine your trees free of charge. Cheryl's Tree and Landscape Service. That's the name you can trust when it comes to your trees. Call 704-880-4795.
Yes, and we're back on Racing Roots with Hamm right here on 550 AM and 92.9 FM. You can also tune in on WAMEradio.com and DHammiam on the YouTube channel. So we have a lot of people tuned in on YouTube, and if you'd like to throw out your questions, go ahead and do that. Tracy's going to be monitoring that here shortly. And also, I would like to throw out, let's see, in about 7 minutes, we're going to throw out the phone number, and you can call in if you'd like to. But I'm going to have Danny's going to talk about his latest, or I guess it'd be your first win.
Yeah, first win for sure
as a car chief.
Yeah, it's been a while since I won. Period, really, since Sadler. But yeah, it was our first win. It definitely didn't come with lack of work. A-car works a lot. It's a pretty big deal. I mean, Josh Berry, obviously, that's a huge deal for him. I was really happy it was him. I wish I could have got one for Jeb or Daniel or Zane. I've worked a lot of them already. But
it's a work in progress with all the combination of things.
Yeah,
typically.
I was trying to think like where else I really would have wanted to win.
Mm-hmm.
I like Richmond a lot, but I don't like it right now the way they fixed the infield. But I'd say Martinsville is unique. I've only been there twice now, so I was on my second time there, and it wasn't no different than any other car we've had. I mean, every car we put together, the next one's better than the last, I feel like. Mm-hmm. We've been working hard at some aero stuff, and even though Martinsville has nothing to do with aero, it's just really, a good car, good handle, and good driver. And I was really happy it was Josh, and it felt really good. I'm still riding that high, really, to be honest. Mm-hmm. I was really hoping for 3 in a row, 3 different tracks, Talladega, Darlington on top of it. I felt like Josh did good at speedways, and I feel like he'll be really good at Darlington. And it just stinks. We started a little farther back now, but that's all right. He'll manage it. We started back a lot last year, so yeah. But it was definitely exciting. He really dominated the race. Felt good, actually. A lot of times, as many times I stood behind the box, I'm like, man, I just wish for once, you just dominate. Even if you didn't win, people are like, they knew you were there, right? Mm-hmm. And neither one came, right? Even if we snuck a win in, or either way, I would take it. And it felt good to actually, they're like, man, that 8's good. Man, that 8's good. Rained out on, I guess it was Friday night. We didn't come back till Sunday. It was a lot of work to move all the stuff around because there ain't enough room in the infield and all that. So that whole time, guys were going, man, y'all are fast. Man, y'all are fast. Man, y'all are fast. And I'm going, I don't feel like we're that fast. Like I feel like we're okay, but like there's many of cars I thought were faster than that that I've put on the track, or we have anyway as a group. But I mean, Taylor Moyer called a good race. They called a perfect race, and Josh drove a good race, and it was perfect.
Taylor actually asked a question.
Yeah, he
Oh,
asked,
perfect.
He
Go
asked,
ahead,
who's
Tracy.
your favorite crew chief?
Taylor Moyer is definitely my favorite crew chief to work for.
There
There's
you go,
no
Taylor.
doubt.
There you
There
go.
you go.
Very easy to work with. Smarter than people give him credit. Knows more than people think he knows. That's for sure. And kind of lets the guys do. He gets the best out of the guys. He don't know he does, but when you let guys kind of do what they want, like, I wouldn't say do what they want, but it just gives you the freedom. Like, he understands, like, you know, you got a lot of stuff going on. We got 2 guys on the team that, you know, one of their kids in the military, in the Air Force, she lives in Colorado. So he's got a lot going on, trying to talk to her, trying to get out there to see her. Our other guy, he's got a daughter that's in dance a lot. And, you know, just stuff like that.
Oh,
So,
yeah. That's important, man. If
you-
you're happy at home and you can do a lot better job.
Try to make these guys work till 8 o'clock every night and stuff. It ain't gonna work out. You know, he tries to get me to go home all the time, but I work as late as possible.
I'd say,
Well, racing is a family.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I'd say that's probably one of the biggest things that, you know, I worked for Doug Yates. I worked for Robert Yates and then worked for Doug Yates. But Robert Yates they worked a lot of hours, but I think that Doug's kind of started seeing, well, I know that he started seeing that the family time was really where it's at, where the importance is, and look at the success he's built over there with that. But we were talking about Martinsville. It took us I think it took us about 10 years with Ford just to win a Martinsville race.
Yeah.
So to go over there and win and to be good on the super speedways and the speedways, I mean, means a lot.
Yeah, it's saying a lot. I mean, a lot of people. So many people I saw in the garage because we were in there at the same time as the
It's a bird.
Cup. We were in there the same guys, the Cup guys, and a lot of, like I was telling you about, you know, Travis Mack, Gray, all them guys. They moved on to the next level, but I saw them coincidentally because we raced the same day, so it was really cool to, you know, I saw all them guys. They're like, man, we're so happy for you, and I was like, that's crazy. Like, got to actually see them, and obviously everybody in the garage on the other side, you know. I've been in this garage a while, so a lot of people were nice, and everybody always is. It's the friendliest garage ever, but, you know, it was just, that was the best thing is, you know, I just love that everybody is appreciative. Like, one of the guys that left last year, 54 car, won a race. Man, the first thing I want to do is say, man, I'm happy for you. We talked every night about him getting this opportunity, and he did it, you know. And then I know there's probably a lot of guys out there that know as much as me, if not way more, that never won a race that deserved one. And
Sure.
you know, I feel lucky, like, for real. So
Yeah, we're talking about Tony Uri Sr. Whenever I was jackman for Nemechek back in '98, I believe it was. Junior won his first championship at Homestead in the Busch Series. I believe that was '98, and I think he won another one in '99.
I believe that's correct.
So
because he
I was-
won Texas in 2000, and then he won the Daytona race in 01.
Yeah,
The middle one anyway.
One of those, I was jackman for Nemechek at that race, and Nemechek won, and then Tony Uri caught me in Victory Lane. We didn't spend much time in Victory Lane. It was all about Junior getting him in there, so we just like took a couple of pictures. I don't even have a
Get
copy of the
outta
picture.
here.
And it was like, y'all get out of here. But Tony just called me up, come up to me, gave me a hug, and said, "How's it feel?" I said, "Man, it feels good, but how does it feel for you? You know, you just
Yeah.
won the championship." But
Yeah.
that was nice. So he was thinking about me in the moment.
When he just had a
versus-
big moment.
Yes.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So good
So-
stuff. Yeah. Go for
so-
it, Tracy.
On YouTube, whoever signed in under your name, Danny Earnhardt Jr., we're proud of you, honey.
That's
must
definitely
be
my
your
wife.
wife.
Yeah, that's definitely my wife.
So
Um,
wife is a watch, and she said
I'm
she's
honey.
proud of you.
Yeah. Very good. Well, hello there.
And-
What's her name?
Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Sarah.
She's ready to pop. She said she's ready.
And she's got to go
yes.
through a little bit of heat, so
Yeah.
I feel her.
Memorial Day, it sounds like now.
Yeah.
Now, what's her maiden name?
It's Hubbard.
Hubbard. Okay. Let's
Hubbard.
see if there's any Hubbards in racing. I'm trying to think.
I bet there's one or two in racing.
I think I worked with. Oh, it was Larry Hubbard. Ask her if she knows Larry Hubbard.
She might.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this: if she don't, her dad does.
Yeah. I went to school with him. I think it was down in Charlotte, though.
Yeah.
Well, Rachel has a question. She says, other than Dale Sr., who is your favorite old school driver?
Oh man. You know, to be completely honest, I'm not much for old school, but obviously Dale was really big. For some reason, I kind of like Rusty. I never really told a lot of people that, but Rusty seemed like he'd get a lot out of a car. I mean, I like Rusty. Like I said, I'm not a big old school guy, but Rusty was kind of cool to me. So, you know, when I was growing up, Rusty was almost done, to be honest. But I just remember watching them old videos. I was like, that's kind of like Rusty for some reason. I just felt like he gave Dale actually a run for his money. He didn't take no crap, you know. But I really liked the Labanis. I liked them too. Something about Labanis, I liked them. I thought Bobby was always cool. They seemed fast at always the cookie cutters is what we call them, Texas and all that. For some reason I like those tracks. So
Texas boys, Texas Terry, and you're talking about Rusty. He was one of those that, you know, him and Earnhardt were like fierce competitors.
Yeah.
But people that I've had in here talking about them, they talk about how good of friends they were.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing them together and stuff, but I was thinking, you know, they're probably kind of like on the backside, sort of like just picking each other's brains, trying to figure out what they're running in their cars and stuff, because, you know, that kind of stuff. But they were really good friends.
It's game on.
But they were so similar in driving, but they were so different in personalities and things. You know? And the same with Jeff Gordon, where they were completely different, Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon. And this sort of reminds me of what you're talking about with Earnhardt. It's like whenever Jeff Gordon come along, he was basically picking on Gordon. Yeah. But it was making Gordon tougher. Yeah. At the same time, and he respected him. But he gained more respect for him as it went along. Yeah. The more experience.
What did you say her name was? Rachel?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Rachel, you just got to remember I am an Earnhardt. Yeah. So it's really hard to like other people. Like I said, that's why I never really told nobody that. I mean, like I said, I don't really think I loved him or nothing. I just thought it was cool that he went, hey, you ain't taking no slack from you. So, but when Dale was gone, you know, we had Junior. So you know, Dad, we watched the races religiously. Even if we're big Dallas Cowboy fans too. We'd have them both on at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. But it's just cause of Junior. Be honest, it's hard to watch. If it wasn't for the guys that we had in our shop moving them up, now we watch them on Sunday. If it wasn't for that, it might be hard to watch just because of them not being there no more, you know?
Yeah, David can relate to that. He taught some football kids that are now in the pros.
Oh, yeah. J.R. Sweezy.
Oh, yeah.
Went on to play for Seattle.
Yeah.
I was back in my Mooresville days.
Oh, yeah. And everybody knows JR. He's about as what's the baseball boys, the Seegers. You know, they came from Rowan County, all them Seeger boys.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about the baseball stuff a little bit. My son played in that area. He went to West Rowan.
Oh, yeah.
And he played baseball in high school there, but he's 26.
Oh, yeah.
And my daughter's 30. She'll be 33 in December.
Oh, okay.
So she's more of your
We're
age.
almost the same age, yeah.
But the Bautistas now, my son-in-law, Felix Bautista.
Oh, okay.
He played baseball at West Rowan. Really good.
Yeah, West Rowan's always had good players too.
So let's say hey to some of the people out there, Tracy.
All right, let's start from the very top. So we've got Rachel tuned in. We've got Dickie Dennis, Randy Hamm, Uncle Randy. We've got Sissy. We've got Dawn Clark, Suzette McGuire,
and California.
Yes. And who else do we have?
My Uncle Randy was a huge Earnhardt fan. He's always had a Earnhardt. I say always. He had Earnhardt's picture hanging in his living room. That tells you how big an Earnhardt fan he was. Yes.
Yeah, you get in the living room, that's getting aggressive.
Part of the family.
Yeah.
That's right.
Wayne, I'm going to kill the last name, Pugsley. Is that how you say
Pugliese.
it? Pugliese.
Yeah, that's what Jersey Cape Yachts.
Yes. He says it's been the busiest time of the year, so that's why they haven't been tuned in lately.
Oh, okay.
He's our sponsor.
Well, we're constantly doing shout-outs to them, and if you would like a Jersey Cape Yacht, you can give Janine send her an email, just Janine with a G at jerseycapeyachts.com, or give her a call. Here's her personal cell phone number. I'm just kidding. I don't know if that's it. 609-965-8650. That's 609-965-8650. And they also have apparel as well, but they'll build
Which
you
we're sporting tonight.
31. Yeah, we are 31 to 66 foot in length, a custom yacht, and you can put them on Lake Norman, whatever. So they're up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Lower Bank.
And we've got Chad Hyder tuned in, Jim Dooley tuned in, Kit Rodriguez, of course, Taylor Moyer.
Yeah, so we got Port St. Lucie, Florida, and Ohio, and Virginia.
Scott Beerman Trevison.
Oh, yeah, he's down there in near the Daytona. Keeps his boat over in the Daytona area where Hollywood Hills. What's the name of that? Concha, whatever, the marina.
I have no idea.
It's a little marina that was owned by the France family. That's where all the parties used to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Scott can tell us.
Yes.
R.D. Ford is watching.
Yeah, he's up in New Hampshire.
Frank Stuckey.
Yeah, Yes.
And Paul Rodriguez.
All right. So there we go. Yeah. Thank y'all for tuning in. And you can also, if you're listening on WAME 92.9 or 550, you can also see us here live in the Randy Marion studio on my YouTube channel, DHammiam. So Frank Stuckey says, grabbing some beef tips and mac and cheese and off to the other yard jockey job. So yes. All right. So anyway, you're driver now. We're talking to Danny Earnhardt Jr. So I knew your dad back in the day. And Coquina Marina. That's it. Yes. He may or may not remember me. I'm sure if you show Junior a picture of me, he'll remember me because I used to see him all the time, but it's like you get out of touch with guys when you're not going to the track. And I haven't been, like I haven't seen Jimmy Johnson in over 20 years, but I had his brother Jared on here last week. But you just lose touch with the guys.
Oh yeah. I mean, how you done it. You know how busy you get. I mean,
yes.
Maybe you and Junior
for sure
do a show together.
Maybe so. Maybe he'll tune in to this one and
break the edge off.
Yes. Hey, it's not competition. We'll just do
you clip them out.
He's Tuesday nights, you're Monday nights, so y'all aren't competition.
Right, exactly. I debated on Tuesday nights because that's usually like when the race team meet. Do y'all have meetings on Tuesdays?
I think we do ours on Mondays most of the time. It's only really the higher management, but
right, yes.
But I'm pretty sure he's gone most of the day.
Yeah, sure.
So I hadn't seen you since 3 years of my own.
Yes. So Rachel asked, is other than Dale Senior?
I asked.
Oh, you
already.
asked that one already. I'm sorry. I was getting messages in here. Oh, she was asking okay. Does Danny Earnhardt Jr. like Whiskey River? Dale Jr. has a cool bar down in Charlotte. It's that one up there near Concord Mills, right?
No.
Oh, down in Charlotte.
It's in Charlotte,
That's
in
right.
the Epic Center, I think.
We used to have our Christmas parties there for the company. That was always a good time. Always a good time. I've never honestly been besides that, but I know this. We had like the whole deal, the bartenders and everything, like it was normal when we went, and we didn't always do that, but we did it a few times. And it seemed like it'd be a great experience. I would highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. I've known a couple guys at work that go down there and they say it's great. Now, I don't know when's the last time it's been open since all this mess, but I'm sure when it gets back going, it'll be hopping again.
Yeah, I had a chance to go to it. We had our big party down there for Roush Yates, but I didn't end up. I think I turned in that night or something. But so if anybody wants to give a call, do you have anybody in particular that might want to call?
Me? No, I don't.
Okay. All right. So
I mean, if they call, they call. But
yes. Somebody might want to call and give you a hard time.
Nah, they might.
Say, hey, you're on the radio. I'm going to ask you something that nobody else knows.
Yeah, especially those that aren't commenting.
Yes. So if you have a question for Danny that nobody else knows this answer, it's just you, you can give us a call.
Uncle Randy says the picture's still hanging in the living room.
Oh, is it really?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. It's in the den, not the living room.
So he took a really cool picture of me. I'm out there at North Wilkesboro in '96, the very last race we had there, and I'm out, kicking lug nuts, whatever. I was the jackman for Kyle Petty then, and he took a picture right when Earnhardt was passing by, so you can see that Earnhardt's car, and then I'm facing him. So that was a cool picture.
That is cool.
And but Earnhardt ran over my foot one time. That's mine.
And it wasn't on accident. There's no way, right?
No. So years later, though, this was on pit road. So I'm dropped the jack. I'm running to the right.
Blind spot.
As soon as I turn my foot, there he is, right over my foot. And years later, I'd say years. I mean, I don't know, 5 or 6, 7 years later, David Smith. He was telling me that he said Earnhardt was bad for doing that, and he said he got on him one time. Because he was a jackman as well, before he was crew chief and all that for Earnhardt. And he said he just flat out told him, if you don't stop doing that, then I quit, because that is not cool. These guys are out there, whatever. But you know how it is. And that's just the way it is in racing. You're competitive that way. Ricky Rudd, I ran right in the side of his car one time, just ran my jack right into him because I'm like, I'll just bounce off of him and run around the car and make it much quicker for me.
You sped me up.
Yeah, so and then when I told him about it, he apologized. So anyway, 704-873-9929. We're going to open it up. We're going to take a chance here, if you don't mind, Danny.
No, take a chance.
Put you on the spot.
It's all good.
Yeah, so there you go. Give us a call if you'd like to. But we also want to mention Andy Houston's son is going to be racing this Saturday out at Tri-County. Have you been out to Tri-County?
I've never been to Tri-County.
Yeah, so that should be an interesting race. He's actually up and coming in the racing world, trying to get him rolling in it, because he's the you know, Andy Houston, Tommy Houston, Marty Houston.
Yeah.
And Teresa
They were on
Earnhardt.
the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, from that family as well. So, and all right, so we got any more questions? Yes, this is Rachel says we could. What does that say, Tracy?
Which NASCAR track would you reopen and why?
Oh, reopen? I mean, they just shut down Iowa recently, I think. I would highly recommend opening that one. I thought it was a nice facility. I thought the racing was okay, and the high line was coming in, so it was about to be better. For really, really old, I think you got to open North Wilkesboro. I mean, obviously that's a shot in the dark. It won't probably never happen. I play softball with a guy that is into PR and stuff. He's like, there's only one road in and one road out.
Yeah.
Like there ain't no way they can do a cup race. You know, he's very adamant about that. And I've never been to North Wilkesboro, though, to say that's definitely the one. But I feel like, obviously, a lot of people feel that way. I thought Rockingham for sure would be the one because the way the cars are now, that place wearing out would be really good racing. And they tried the trucks there, and it didn't kind of go.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened with that. But I thought that would have been good. I thought that was really good at first. But I'd like to see I don't know what's the deal with Pikes Peak. But in Colorado, I tested there one time. I don't know if it's even still there. But I think we need to go that direction in the country. I think we need to. If you literally look at a map, it's all coastal and it's all south and east. So, I feel like we need to move that way a little bit. But obviously, it's all about the market. It's all about money. But.
Yeah, I raced at Pikes Peak in 2001 and 2000 in the Busch Series because we didn't run the Cup Series there. And
I don't think they ever did they?
No, not that I know.
I don't think they did.
No. We could run in Japan, but we couldn't run at Pikes Peak. So I don't know.
It's crazy. It's all about the market,
It is.
Yeah, whatever.
And I always say that right now, what they could do with North Wilkesboro is just cut the trees that are there and put some dirt over it, and don't worry about the pavement.
Yeah,
just go ahead and put dirt on the whole track, and open it back up.
Yeah, try something, right?
Or even if if the stands are too messed up, don't open it to the fans. Maybe just or in the traffic and all that.
Yeah,
but just have a race and have it on TV and whatever. So.
I'm telling you, I've always been a little bit of a fan of pay-per-view kind of thing because they talk like maybe racing will have to end near Labor Day one day, which because of the market and the way TV is now. And I was like, man, that wouldn't be that bad. Be a lot of off time, might be even see more jobs go, but I don't obviously want that.
Right. Yeah.
But I always said it'd be cool if they did if they did that, they did like a Halloween pay-per-view and it'd be like something different, right? Like almost like Bristol Dirt they did, which they're obviously doing it without a pay-per-view or anything. But just be a cool race with like, hey, you come, you fail tech once, you're out. Only paying the winner $1 million to the winner. That is it. Yeah. Let them beat each other to death or whatever, and just be some off the wall track, and don't even tell them where you're going until the week of.
Oh yeah.
Whatever. It's just something crazy, right?
Mystery track.
Yeah, do that twice in the off season. I thought that'd be pretty cool, But that's a lot of PR, but.
Well, I like that idea.
I think it'd be crazy.
I do too. I think that'd be great. So there's your $1 million idea right there for NASCAR to get the fans back. Well, we're trying to get the fans back in the stands. I know whenever I was going back in the day, the stands were completely packed full.
Oh yeah.
Like you're like looking up there, like look at all these people. And it was just crazy. But, a lot of that kind of went away. Number one thing I hear from most people is, well, I quit watching after Earnhardt died.
Yeah.
That's probably the number one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Places like Talladega would just erupt if Earnhardt got up front. Daytona. And that's what I was going to ask you about, too. If you said you were down there, I guess you went back for the July race whenever Junior won.
Yeah. Like I said.
2001.
Yeah, like I said, Dad would always, he was still working in the mill at the time, but he obviously carried, so he would take that week off, and he was like somewhat of maintenance deal at the mill, so he had to do like some training stuff at like Jekyll Island in Georgia, sometimes Myrtle Beach, just wherever. So I got to go to the beach like that because obviously we couldn't go to the beach. I was also weekend ball playing, so we didn't never get vacation.
Right.
But he would take a week off, and we would go to Daytona every year, and we stayed in this little condo and nothing special, but it was perfect. And I'd always take a buddy. So I went to a few Daytona races, but I actually was at that one, and I can vaguely remember me and my buddy, once again, not too into it, but we're watching, and we were sitting on the toolbox in the back, and he won, and storm the grass, the whole nine, right? And Michael and Dale out there doing their numbers and all that, and pictures of Victory Lane, and it was a really cool deal. My dad actually ended up with the helmet after the deal, just hold this, I gotta do something. And he comes back and Dad's like, here, you can have it. He's like, my sure, you can have it. He's got the ear molds in it and everything.
Wow.
It is nuts, open face, the whole nine. It's really nice. Like I was like, I still can't believe you got that.
Yeah.
Like, it's nuts.
Of course, at the time before that was at Daytona whenever Earnhardt Sr. died.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
so they come back, and then Dale Jr. won, and then Michael was there pushing him to the finish line.
I mean, it couldn't have been a perfect story. It's almost like it was, made up. It was crazy. It was really amazing.
And then there on the grass, Michael joined Earnhardt, and they were hugging and carrying on.
50 people out there.
Sure.
It was awesome. Like, it was crazy.
Yes. I also want to give a big shout out to our buddy Phil Cavalli, who's not with us tonight. He's usually sitting over here and he's asking questions and such. And he was he's been a NASCAR photographer forever.
He's a hot lap back in the day, right?
His website, it was something like that. Scott knows more about that, but he also was with the Winston Cup scene, the NASCAR photographer. So he's got a lot of Earnhardt pictures, and I've actually I redid an intro for my show right here, and it's got some pictures of Phil with Earnhardt and different ones. There was one pretty funny picture. I didn't put it on there, but whenever I'm not gonna tell the whole story, but it's a great picture that another photographer got. Phil had long hair, and Earnhardt pulls his hair down and then pours the champagne in his mouth, in typical Earnhardt style. Yeah, so that was good stuff. And what else? Tracy, what else?
He says yes, hot lap.
Hot lap. Okay.
Oh, he's listening in.
Scott Trevison is.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I look back from when I was younger, I got all his pictures, hotlap.com, in the bottom. I screenshotted them. Or whatever. That's the only way, we could get pictures or whatever. Yeah. So I loved. I was like, that's all I could do.
There you go.
20-year-old kid, like, hey, look, that's me at the track.
Yes, I think that was afterwards for me because we had David Shobat, and he took most of the pictures, and then we had another Stephen Rose, and then Phil was doing it for the scene when I was going, but he couldn't really. It wasn't really his property, I guess, as you could say.
We used it trying to figure out. We had them years I was doing interior. We had 17 drivers one year. I mean, we had so many drivers. It was never ending, changing seats and all that. Like, we were trying to go back and look at how many we had. Brad Keselowski. I mean, it was forever.
Yeah, because Brad kind of got his. I don't know if I'd say start, sort of, in the Busch car over there with Junior. Yeah,
I'll tell you this. I'll never forget it. I was actually on. The DEI, Chance 2 when it went away. Mm-hmm. We would actually do a Xfinty car every once in a while, and Dad would have to go and do the tires. Well, I would go. When I started working there, I was doing pit supports, what they call it. So I would actually go to every race once I was 18. I would go to every race and just do nothing really, set up the pit box. But I remember I would go to those, what were they, Busch Series then or whatever. I would go to those because Dad would need help with tires, or it's just easy to take me because they didn't have to pay me, right? And I'd help. Sure. I'd do whatever. Yeah. And I remember Dale did Bristol. I want to say he had that orange 8. I don't remember what the sponsor was, but it was orange, I think. I think that's what he was driving.
Was that the serial car?
Maybe. I can't remember the exact car, but I'll never forget Brad was in the
maybe
white. I think he was in a white 23 red. And I remember Dale in the race going, that kid right there is going to be good.
How about that?
Mark my words. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Brad Keselowski, who is this guy? Yeah. What is he talking about?
And his dad raced ball.
And his dad, and obviously I didn't know that. I didn't know. And then I ended up going to juniors in the midst of Brad being there in 07. Mm-hmm. And then Brad ran for the championship in 08 and 09 when I was obviously there. And I remember him coming in with tube socks, and I mean, you're talking about the guy. I don't like a race car driver at all. You're like, who is this guy? And then they had to work him down. I want to say Kelly's mom, Brenda, had to help him out and style him. I think somebody, and they had to help him out, but he just came from kind of like a dorky guy to oh, look at, he's cool. Yeah. He's cool. And he's still a cool guy.
So his talent came through.
Oh yeah. I mean, he was obviously really, really talented, and he was he was cool. Like the interior wasn't perfect for him because once again I wouldn't know what I was doing. He'd be like, "Oh, this is that car where the brake pedal's a little closer to the seat," and he'd laugh, and I'd be like, "Yeah, that car. I didn't know you could move them at that time." You know what I mean? I just made sure they were tight. I didn't know they moved, and it took me a year to really get all that under me. But so he was cool about it, because we were getting chassis from HMS. So some of them would be Casey Mears, some of them would be Kyle Busch. Well, Kyle Busch had like the pedal box was moved farther away or to the right because he wanted it a certain way for certain tracks. And so I didn't know the difference. I'm just bolting it in.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known the difference either.
I told him years later, I'm like, "Man, I'm sorry about that." He's like, "Oh, that's cool. You're moving them now, though, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm moving brake pedals now. I got you."
Yeah. Brad's a very intelligent guy.
He is.
Yeah.
He don't get enough credit for it, to be honest.
For sure.
He's very intelligent.
He'd come into the engine shop right whenever we had signed up to do the engines for Penske, and he come walking into our room, and so he's asking all kinds of questions and just taking it in, and he already knew a lot of stuff. So,
Yeah.
And then now look at him, he's got his own manufacturing, his machine shop.
Oh, yeah.
And
His drive,
DHammiam.
he had a lot of drive that many people don't have. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen Regan talk to those young drivers that they have now for the driver development or whatever, but something Regan says is like, if you don't got the will to do it, someone else does.
Yeah.
So
That's
you better
right.
make sure you're going, and I almost approach my job like that, but if you don't do it, someone else will. They're going to go that extra mile. And Brad kind of did. He would do what it takes, and he knew like our motors wasn't quite where they needed to be, but if I stayed on the top side, I could keep the RPMs up. So I'm going to stay on the top side, and Pops be like, "You get your butt on the bottom. That's the fast lane." He's like, "You don't understand. Like, the motor don't run down there. I can win the race up there, Like, oh, man, they'd be going at it, and then Pops be like, "Man, that guy knows what he's talking about." All right, cool. Whatever. It was crazy to see.
Yeah, I know that Pops will get pretty frustrated with Junior at times, too. Some of the other things going on, but
I don't know who that man has never got frustrated with.
Well, that's true, yes. That's good.
Brad is Suzette's favorite driver. She says, "Yay."
Yes. Suzette's out in California, so a couple of good tracks out there, Sonoma, and so we used to, I always liked going to Sears Point. That was just beautiful country out there.
Only been there one time.
And then we had the California Speedway when they
Phil's
built that.
listening
It was
in.
I think maybe I didn't say hey to Phil again. He was working too, so I'm sure he's probably listening.
He
while
says,
he
"I'm listening."
gets caught up on some stuff there. Yeah. So if you got any questions, let us know.
That's the way Phil.
Yes. Don't ask him if he's got any pictures left over.
Yeah, don't be hunting them down.
Yeah,
Yes.
Scott says hot lap hottie was the best.
That was the best.
Talking about the pictures.
Yes.
Hot lap hotties.
I don't
Yes.
know what that is.
I'm not sure either. You have to-
Women or her fans or something.
Yeah, maybe they had a women's category. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't.
We'll have to do a Google search on
Yeah.
that one. Maybe not.
Scott knows.
Yeah, Scott would know.
Scott's the one that posted it.
Rachel's asking. Oh, Scott was okay. What does Danny think about iRacing? Do you have time for that?
Well, like I mentioned to you, I think personally, I didn't think I did on here, but I do game a lot, but very competitive gaming, shooting games really. But I wouldn't mind iRacing. I personally think it's great because the simulator world is definitely growing, and certain companies have better simulators than others. So people are trying to catch up on that all the time. Some move, some don't. So I think we personally don't have enough time from our company on certain simulator we use. I'm not 100% sure on which one we use, but I know we don't get enough time. And I know a lot of other drivers and companies get way more time because they either have one themselves or they just have more time. When there ain't as many to choose from on our side, I guess is the best way to say it. So I like iRacing because it's not the same, but it's at least a step in the right direction that a driver could take to kind of get I wouldn't say the edge, but we don't have practice.
Right.
Josh Berry has never been, some of these places ever. And he hadn't drove an Xfinty car that many times. So, so it's a challenge between us trying to make a car faster that we don't know how it'll feel to him and feel like what good is it going to be to us if we make it undrivable. We'd rather make it drivable and it can run fifth. At least then maybe we can win the race on strategy or him just being over good or we make it better.
Yeah.
But if we try something out of the box, we don't know what it's going to do. We don't have practice. So iRacing kind of opens that door, not really. The simulator does more, but just for the driver alone, getting laps at Darlington, if that's more laps, that might put it. Darlington's a short race for Xfinity. It's short. It's only 147 laps. I want to say it's 2 cans of fuel. It ain't nothing. So he was starting 24th in that race, for example. Like, that ain't much time. Like, you got to go. So if he don't know what he's to expect, it's just you're one more step behind. So it's really not
acclimate.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really good for those guys. And I like I said, I hadn't done it because that's a lot of money. I'm a more console guy because I can just buy it and hook it up and play it. Like, kid, wife, work, traveling. Like, I don't got enough time. But there is a lot of guys that do exactly what I do that have iRacing, but I just haven't put in that full commitment. I'm too competitive. I don't even like to go go-karting because I get too competitive. If I'm not the best, I'm going to go do what I got to do to become the best, and it might mean my wallet.
I know. I'm the same way.
Yeah,
All right,
I stay away from it.
Commercial.
Yes. All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break. We got Danny Earnhardt Jr. in here with us, so stay tuned, and we'll be right back after a few messages and a motorcycle.
And a motorcycle.
With Capital Management Group. Think of all the fads you've seen over the years. If they were meant to last, you'd still be wearing platform shoes, driving a Firebird, playing Pac-Man. But fads don't last, and that's true in finance too. So why do many big financial institutions promote the latest investment fads? Sure, they look good now, but it's doubtful they will stand the test of time. If that's how these firms handle their money, do you really want them managing yours? At Capital Management Group, we invest with sound economic principles, not in fleeting trends. This approach has served our clients well for several generations. Sound financial advice never goes out of style. Let's talk about how Capital Management Group can work for you. Call us at 704-878-6677 for a free consultation, or visit our website at mycmg.net.
School days were the happiest days of your life.
This is Jeff James, Iredell Statesville School Superintendent. Join me this Friday at 8:30 a.m. as we talk about all the things happening within the Iredell Statesville school system. We'll talk about policy, visions, trends in your local school system and explain why and how decisions are made that affect Iredell County school children and families. We might even have a few special guests along the way. So again, join me this Friday at 8:30 a.m. right here on 550 and 92.9 WAME.
All right, we're back right here on 550 and 92.9 WAME, and you're listening to Racing Roots with Hamm, which you can listen to us every Monday evening at 7 o'clock. We'll have a new guest to tell us their path, their stories, and their racing roots. And tonight we have Danny Earnhardt Jr. in with us, who is a true-blooded Earnhardt. He is Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s, nephew.
That's right.
So his brother, Danny, was Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s brother, and so he makes you Dale Jr.'s cousin as well. So Dale Jr. gives him all kinds of special treatment for being his cousin.
People think that. You had me thinking about it. Like,
sure.
People that come to work because, for example, Greg Ives. So let's use him as an example.
Yeah.
He don't know me from John, but he comes in the door. He's a new crew chief for Chase Elliott, the new cat, right? He's going to be the new guy, the guy that's supposed to go all the way, the next Bill Elliott, et cetera, et cetera. And, who's on my team? Danny Earnhardt Jr. Oh, I know why he's here.
Oh,
right.
Of course.
That's the first thing that I feel like. I don't know if he really thought this. But
right. Yeah.
I feel like he'd be like, oh, I know why he's here. Right. And then, a couple months go by and he sets me to the side and he's like, hey, I just really noticed you're like the hardest working guy in here. I'm like, well, yeah, that's why I'm working here.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't be here if I didn't want to work, But I think people, I hate it. Like, people think that, I really got this job because I was a Yuri, to be honest. Not that Dale wouldn't have gave it to me, or Kelly or anyone like that. But, the Yuri called me. He's the one that invited me over. Same thing, the first job, the Yuri called me. And, I felt like I had to prove that I wasn't here just because I'm an Earnhardt. I've always had that chip on my shoulder. Like, I'm not just here because I'm an Earnhardt. I'm going to outwork you to the point of you'll be like, I want that guy on my team, or I want to work for that guy or with that guy or whatever it is. So I always kind of had that chip, and I always thought people would think that coming in the door. I'm like, that ain't why I'm here. That ain't why I'm here. And then a lot of people think me and Dale will be tight, and we're really not. We're really similar, to be honest, but we're just never – he's obviously older than me by a couple years, 10 years or so, but we never really we wasn't in the same age bracket. You know,
Right.
I missed out on the partying and all that stuff and having a good time. Like, I was too young for that. And plus, I was trying to get my career going. So we never lined up. So I don't want anyone thinking me and Dale are great, but I'm not Dale's wingman by any
Right.
means, you know what I mean? Like, you know, but
Yeah.
it's
That makes sense.
I think we got a good relationship, but
You bring up some good points too about that, and I'm sure Dale has went through similar things,
Absolutely.
being the son of, the legend Dale
Yeah, it's
Earnhardt.
hard to live up to somebody else's name. You have to prove your own path, you know?
I think sometimes that's kind of why he, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they have like that color thing. I don't know if you ever had it where you work, but it's a color chart of how your, kind of how your attitude is, I guess, or your personality. It's a red, green, blue, whatever it is. But
Like your aura, kind of.
yeah, and if you're high red, you're kind of like I don't know how to say it, but mean. But it just means you're direct. It means,
Yeah.
there ain't no reason for me to beat around the bush talking to you. I'm just going to tell me what I need to know. Tell me how you want it done. And when you need it done by, and I'll get it done. That's like a red. A green, they like to talk about it. Let's fill it out. Yellow needs it on a piece of a paper. It's just stuff like that. I don't know all the lingo, but like I don't know Dale's color, but I'm going to guess it's blue or green. And it's kind of like, I don't want to show favoritism to him. You know what I mean? Like, it's just always kind of been that way, and it's fine. I'm fine with that, and I try to think of it like, why does he do that? And I'm like, oh, okay, it's probably because something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's all good. Like, but he was we won with Josh, so it was, hey, like, it was different, so.
That brings up that kind of makes me think of another good point with that is Dale Jr.'s talked about whenever he went to, and remind me of that link I sent you earlier about the shoes. But whenever he went to Japan, this could lead into that.
Yeah.
That he, he's like telling people, this is an opportunity. Because I remember they both drove the Coke cars, Coca-Cola, whatever. Because I was there. I went in '96 and I went back in '98 whenever they were running at Twin Ring Motegi.
It was a different track, right?
It was a different track. It was a circle track versus the road course, which was the first one.
Yeah.
And so, of course, Rusty Wallace won the very first one, the road course. And it seems like Mike Skinner won one of the Twin Ring, and somebody else won the other one. But anyway, it was with Dale Jr., and there was so much. It was like, oh, we got both Earnhardts here and this kind of stuff. But Earnhardt said, well, he felt like this was an opportunity that he was going to actually get to kind of hang out around his dad, because he really didn't get to spend a lot of time with him. But his dad was sort of like, towards him, it seems like he wasn't like extremely helpful to him, for one. I guess kind of the same thing. He wanted him to make his own way.
Yeah. Competition too, probably. I mean,
yeah,
it's competitive.
And that's where the shoe comes in.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How competitive Dale Earnhardt Sr. was that whenever they were racing at Japan, Twin Ring Motegi, whenever I guess Junior held him up or something.
Yeah.
He ran in the back of him. He was pushing him all the way
He about
down.
pushed him into the wall. Or whatever. He got a little tight or loose, I don't remember, but he slid up the track. And he's like, oh, give me a break. And he didn't. And then he about put him in the wall.
Yeah.
Hey, don't do that.
So sitting there after the race, Junior says there comes this shoe right by his head. Just it was one of Earnhardt's shoes. He took off and just tossed it, chunked it right at him. So fortunately he missed, or maybe that was part of the concussion thing. But anyway, it so
hit him and he didn't know it.
Right. Yes. So, but then he said, but then after that, everything was fine, back to normal, no problem.
It's crazy. Very Pops-ish.
Yes, exactly.
It's crazy, right? Hey, they're all the same.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
For
Uncle
sure.
Randy does have a question. He says, have Danny explain what the car chief job entails for those listening that may not know.
Oh, that's easy.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I
that's
was
a great
thinking
question. So just to dumb it down quickly as possible, is you got crew chief, and then you got engineer 1, engineer 2. Some teams might have 1, 2, 3. They might only have 1. But usually it's crew chief, engineers, and then a car chief. Then you kind of got like a lead mechanic, or they might call him front mechanic, rear mechanic. And then after that, it kind of diverts a little bit. You might have a tire guy. Engineers might do tires too. Like, I don't know. So really the car chief's main thing is they'll make sure the setup sheet comes from the engineer, which basically is approved by the crew chief. And then the car chief kind of makes sure the right parts are on the car that need to be based off that setup sheet. And then they set it up, and they ask for a wedge number. You make sure that wedge number is right. Obviously, you got to be a minimum weight, right side and total, front nose weight. We make sure all that's right, and then we go through the caster and the camber. You go through like a rear end process, make sure the equal weight, because you want the rear neutral, stuff like that. then we'll pull it down, make sure all your travels are good, et cetera, et cetera. And then we kind of do like a arrow thing. You make sure all your body's sealed up where you want it and all that. And car chief kind of does that. And then we go down to the scanner, and crew chief kind of, pushes it the way he kind of wants. And I'll be honest, I look at it in the sense of, can I get that through?
Yeah.
I'm to the point now where, all right, I know I done made that the best I could. Now can I get it through? If I can't, I'm going to try to make it a little easier to get through. Yeah. Not so much be fast at that point. But you still try to make sure, obviously, everything's where it's supposed to be. So really the crew chief has ultimate reign, obviously. Car chief just kind of, I wouldn't say has his back, but, you're his go-to guy to make sure, hey, when he asks, it's a camber 8-1, you go, yes, sir, it's 8-1. Mm-hmm. Like, I made sure myself, you know. And I delegate, obviously, the workout to the guys. If I need them to do something different besides their normal day, but, hey, you need to get out here and do this. We need to do this. Need to get this done, et cetera, et cetera. But when the guys we got now, I mean, my job is so easy because they're all either veterans or they don't need to be told. They know what they're doing. So my job's way easy compared to some of these guys that I'd imagine. I don't have many kids on my team. We'll say that at least. Like, they're veterans. They could do my job if they really wanted to. They're really good at their jobs.
So quality is probably quality control
for sure.
So you teach the next generation to go over there and hang out with the officials whenever they're going through inspection, and you say, while you're talking to them with this right here, you put your foot on the side of the car over here, or make an adjustment.
That's kind of right.
Add a little weight and that kind of things. Lean against the car here, but
with
don't
the bodies they got now, though, you about can't move them with your feet. It's the composites are tough, man. They don't move easy. Yeah, it's crazy.
Things are a lot different now than they were when I was going.
It's crazy.
I see all kinds of stuff, but it's completely different now with the, and that's why it's different, because they got by with a lot of things back in the day.
I mean, they try to even it up, I mean, but.
Yeah. And now, even where you used to be able to do things like, you would weigh the car with, if you had the driver, have them sitting on the door frame. Yeah. But if you didn't have them, then you could have somebody else sit there and, if they were similar weight, whatever. But you couldn't get away with having, helmets full of cement and things like that. Now they just lead helmets. Now they weigh the drivers, I guess, in the info care center.
Yep, twice a year I think they do it now, and then you just get told your number. It's the number you got to be.
So you gain as much weight as you can over the winter, and then you
lose as much as you can and then you're like stuck in the middle. Do I start gaining again? Because they're gonna weigh you when you get back. Yes. I guess it ain't Daytona no more in the middle, whatever. Yeah. It used to be Daytona and Daytona, but now it's something else. I don't know when we go in the middle now. Yeah, might be Texas. I don't know.
Right, and you can't get by with having lead in your pockets or.
Oh, they make you take your clothes off now. That's what I heard anyway.
Yeah, that's what we were talking. We had Natalie Decker in here. We were talking about that, and then who was it? It was Manisha or Amy said you were in your. I think it was Amy said you were. I forgot what she called it.
Skivvies.
You were no, it wasn't that. It was like you were not naked, but it was something. Whatever.
A unique underwear word.
Yeah, that's it. So do we say hey to Jana Trevison, tuned in from down there in Florida?
So Phil says, I've always thought a match race with all the Earnhardt family members, even Kelly, could be a fundraiser.
What's a match race? What is that? Is that like basically just means all of us in one?
Yeah.
Well, I think so because, this doesn't really have to do with match racing, but I remember being at Concord Speedway in 1990 when Dale Jr. led his first lap there, and Kelly was right behind him. And I was sitting up in the stands, and I had my little ticket, and I wrote on the back, Dale Jr. led his first lap at
Of course you did.
Concord, yes. And I kept it. I've got it somewhere. But I don't know. Explain what you're exactly saying there. So,
I'm sure that'd be good, though. And then take the winner, maybe the Burtons. You got the Burtons versus the Earnhardts after that.
Yeah.
Who else?
You said it could be a good fundraiser.
Yeah, who else got good big families? Let's have them have competitions.
Oh, yeah.
15-lap race of just the Earnhardts.
That's right.
Yes. There you go.
Don't count me in, by the way, if anybody's listening.
No, you have to.
I ain't racing. I'll just sit there and take it.
Yeah. You can be the pole.
It's a lot of stress.
We'll just let Kelly and Dale have
it. You can be the pace car.
They just got Isla a go-kart or something for her birthday. I saw that.
I saw that.
Was it
she was like, let's go to the racetrack.
Flyer. Yeah, Radio Flyer. Isn't that what that's called? Something.
Yeah.
Little red one.
But she was so cute.
Well, and then there's the Elliges. You could get them
on it
too,
absolutely.
With cars.
Well, you know what? He's on the go-karts now. Kelly and LW's. son.
Carson.
Yeah, Carson started it. And then they had they got Wyatt doing it now. They had Kennedy do it. Her name was missing me for a minute. She did it for a little bit. I don't think she got too much into it, but I can't remember. But I know Carson obviously was really big into it. She was going pretty good there. And then I got Wyatt going hard now. He's out there with Kyle's kid and all that. They raced, I think, last night or night before. We about work on his go-kart too now. Got a couple guys working on it at the shop trying to help out.
Yeah.
A lot of mud.
Yeah. I know when I worked at Sapco, and I'd go in a machine shop and bring my go-kart stuff in there and work on it. I raced at Millbridge some.
That's where they're at.
In my neighborhood.
They say right now, if you can win at Millbridge, you can win anywhere. That's the best racers out there.
Well, hey, I got 3 trophies from Millbridge.
Well, that means something.
But
you're late to the game.
Just hide the year and you'll be good. I won this last time.
I know, right? That's it. I'm way far gone from that anymore.
And them dads they're competitive, man.
Sure.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Janice says, include me in the race too. You could build me an awesome car.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, so, and then, you already explained that. Okay. I was getting some messages as well.
Jim Dooley says, Danny, I admire your dedication and hard work ethics, a true champion in your own right.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
So, what did Janice say? Even include Tracy in the race.
That's what I just said.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, and there was one from Rachel. So get to that question there. All right, so if y'all were just tuning in on WAME 92.9 FM and 550 AM, we have Danny Earnhardt Jr. in here with us. So you're listening to Racing Roots with Hamm, which we come on here every Monday night at 7 o'clock, and just we like to learn the path, the routes. The racing roots. That's why it's called Racing Roots. But I spell it Routes, and I did that for on purpose.
Couple reasons.
Oh, I thought that was on accident.
Well, for one, they have
Route 66.
Well, yeah, and I mean I'm part Australian, so
yeah,
I can say roots like that. But my all right, so I started out with ROOTS, and then I figured out somebody else already had a route. But then the other thing was I made a post on Twitter one time. And then Twitter said, this may contain sensitive content.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, okay, so I can't use the word root. So I just changed the spelling, and it's been fine ever since. Hopefully Twitter's not listening right now.
So Loftus Outdoors says Junior is your cousin, but he's a tough boss as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. We see him more than we ever have. When he was racing, we didn't see him very often. But he's a what I call not hands-on boss. But he makes sure the right people are in the right place to do the job. Like I would say if he didn't think, for example, me could do it, he would have said, no way, he don't know what he's doing.
I don't want him on there anymore.
But I've heard verbatim like, hey, don't do nothing to make Kelly mad. You don't got to deal with me. Like I just make sure Kelly's happy and everything will go good. So and that's how he likes it. And he likes to see people succeed. He likes to see people get a chance. He really likes that a lot. Like there ain't nothing. I don't know if you noticed, obviously when Josh won, but there ain't nothing more than he enjoyed than that. So he loves that. Like he loved giving Brad that chance. Kelly Byers, he loved that. It didn't work out for Kelly Byers, obviously. I hate it, but people like that, there ain't nothing more he loves than that. I mean, these guys they're racing on Dale's budget. Really, gave him a chance. So the last thing I want to do is mess that up for Dale or for Josh. Josh has 12 races. It's like, he was saying earlier, like, if you left one part off that motor, that costs that team $50,000 or whatever. I'm costing a driver a race. He's only got 12 races. That is it, or whatever it is, 10, whatever it is. How, I got to make sure this is right. One thing happens and it's over,
Yeah.
And that could have been Martinsville. You never know. Yeah. So you got to be very careful.
That's really why too in NASCAR it's like you have to be of a certain character, a certain level to work in NASCAR. And now a lot of times when you get out of NASCAR, people are really wanting to hire people that used to work in NASCAR. That's like your number one thing on a resume.
Same thing
you
as
worked
in the
NASCAR,
military, yeah.
And you lasted the military too. You lasted that long in NASCAR is a big one too.
Yeah.
Because if you go in there and you're there 6 months, and there's probably a reason why you're not.
Exactly. Yeah, you gotta have tough skin for sure.
For that too, you have to have thick skin, but you also have to work to a certain level. You have to be thorough. You have to be just
Attention
a good
to
work
detail.
ethic.
Yeah, absolutely. You're held to a higher standard. You know, the military is a great example. You know, very good example.
So Dayla Lingerfeld asks, will Nash Earnhardt get to be a racer too?
No, I hope not. I mean,
I'm assuming that's your son.
Yeah, that's my son. Dayla's my cousin. I mean, if he really wants to be, I mean, I hope not.
Right.
Excuse me, but I don't. I really, it's a lot of money and it's a lot of time.
Sure.
It's really hard. I hope he don't, but if God forbid if he does, I mean, we'll make it happen, I guess.
Exactly.
I mean, I'll do the best you can, you know, like, you know, you can't take away the talent if it's there. But that's the other thing, going back to iRacing, like, that's a great tool, you know, to get better if you don't have the time or money to race every weekend. Like, there's some good options out there for some people, but I mean, just how hard you work now, I think about how much time I've had, you know, for example, you know, it's hard to even come up here to do this, you know, luckily we've had a couple off weeks. So, I'm not behind or anything, I'm ahead, but all it takes is a couple more crashes or anything and you're behind, or, you know, a new part comes out we need or whatnot. So it's really hard to find the time. So you think about, I watch how hard, you know, LW works on Wyatt's go-kart in the shop. I watch him every day, how hard he works on that thing. And I can't imagine it. There's I would have time for nothing else. You know, like he works really hard on it. And I'm like, man, I hope my child does not want to do it. You know,
Right.
I'm pushing soccer or something, you know. But
Yeah, I totally understand. Yes, I mean, I was doing a Pinewood Derby every year for my son, and it took me. I would stay up way later than I should. He was supposed to be doing the car.
yeah, he's supposed to do it.
And there I was.
I
doing
got
it.
this.
Yes. Hey, but we won the state championship.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that kind
Yeah,
of
that's
stuff.
how you do it.
But your wife says, let's
Yeah,
see.
Mama says no.
No, I bet.
Not just no, but no. So Caroline Hubbard says, what car do you plan on buying your wife? Now
Oh,
you're
my
put on
goodness.
the spot.
You got the whole family on here wearing me
Yeah,
out
you
now.
got that.
There you go.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. Hopefully she gets a bonus and we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
The cheapest one.
Yes.
Tell her to work harder and she'll get a better car.
I don't know.
Oh, that's not
teachers.
something good to say.
Yeah, teachers
Just
can't work
kidding.
much harder. I mean,
Just kidding. Yes.
So Rachel says, what direction do you see racing changing in the future, such as with the increased application of technology?
I mean, you definitely, I
I
think,
hear music.
I do too. I was thinking that too. Oh, and back to the teacher thing right quick. I want to clarify. I was going to say as a joke, tell her not to spend as much money on those kids. But you know how it is.
Hey,
Teachers, man.
Yeah, they
it's
have
funny
to
you said that
provide them
because
stuff.
we were just doing
Yeah.
tax stuff and we were
Yes.
trying to figure out how we could write off how much money she spent on her kids. I mean,
Yes.
it's legit stuff if she's doing as much as she can to make sure they're there, you know, books or whatever. And it's like, it's hard to find. We had to count them as donations, which do count, but like, you know, we were like, how does this not count for work? Like,
Right.
we're trying to, you know, whatever.
You should get reimbursed kind of thing, right?
Yeah, we got
Yes, I got you.
reimbursed some,
Yeah.
you know, it's right, but
Well, the teachers, they deserve, they're like on a different level of respect as far as, I mean, they're the future of our children.
yeah.
It's a hard job.
I mean,
And she's
it's
8 months pregnant doing
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah.
Can't
for sure.
imagine.
Yeah.
What'd you
imagine.
say Rachel's question was? I don't-
Rachel says, what direction do you see
Oh, yeah.
racing changing in the future, such as with the increased application of technology?
You know, it's really hard to answer that. But they obviously got rid of practice, which saves money with tires, you know, and they cutting down on people. You know, it makes it really hard. You know, used to, like when I think she's asked the car chief question too, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, the car chief used to have 7, 8 guys to, you know, tell what to do, and he really didn't have to do nothing. Well, we only got 5 of us on the road now, you know, and that's counting the crew chief too.
That's true. I remember.
So, and obviously we have a pit crew that comes in, so there's another 5 guys, but they're not there. Like, you know, we travel with the car, get it through tech, all that. You know, I really didn't say what the car chief does on the road, but obviously car chief goes with it on the road and pushes it through, you know, we all push it through tech together, but I make sure it passes the heights, it passes a visual inspection, all that stuff. And, you know, I'm relied on that, and there's certain rounds we got to do in the back for race and tech and et cetera, and it's just, that's all my job. I kind of left that out, you know, and obviously I relay messages to the pit crew that crew chief wants, because we don't all have the same radio channel.
Right.
It's just not capable. But going back to that, I mean, I think you're probably going to see electric cars sooner or later. I'm going to say it's definitely coming. Obviously EFI was a huge step and it's a lot of money, and they're making it work. So I think you're going to see EFI get switched in Xfinity maybe in 2 years, if Xfinity's even still around. We've heard rumors that it might not be, but nothing official, obviously. But so we'll see. But I definitely think they'll be going electric, and it might just be a few races. It might not be all of them. It might just be road courses or short tracks or whatever. Right. Like, kind of sounds like what they do with the new car they're making. It might just be a few races now, just because, just trying to make sure it's the right direction. Sure. So I think, the car, from what I've understood, to really get into her question about the future is, they cost a Cup team, I think, roughly $20 million. I think you had Yonder on here. He might be able to tell you that more, but I think it was like $20 million. I think it costs to run a Cup car, something crazy like that. Maybe even more than that. It's way up there. But they claim the new car, when it's done, when it's running, should only cost about $6 million to run a year.
Only $6 million.
So, I remember
only $6 million.
I remember when Junior got that Budweiser sponsor, and it was like $10 million, and we were like, "What?
That's crazy.
That is just crazy. $10 million." And then, but now it's double.
And that's why you don't see full rides most of the time. It's because you think about a company like, obviously you got to get sponsors for your show here. Like, try to ask somebody to give you a lot of money for. We're talking a couple. $1,000 maybe here, but they're talking about millions. It's crazy. Like, that's why you can't see a full deal. Like, it's hard. And
especially right now when they're laying people off, most likely.
Absolutely.
With everything that's going on, and then in the Xfinity series, the Busch series, what I kind of still call it sometimes, that you don't make as much money, you don't get as much sponsorship and stuff, you don't run as long a races, whatever, so you don't have as much TV money, all that stuff, so you end up having to do a lot more work with less people, and driving more and all that kind of stuff, kind of like the older days in NASCAR.
It's going back, luckily we hadn't had to drive anywhere farther than Bristol, Darlington, Martinsville. That's about it. Luckily we hadn't had to drive to Atlanta yet, which I know some teams that do. Obviously there's some of the lower budget teams drive a lot of places. But I know a couple bigger teams that drove to, Atlanta and Talladega. But luckily, our company hadn't had to do that yet, because that makes it even harder on your family. And it's really difficult to be, almost going back to making your guys happy, right? Like, it's really hard to give everything you want to the team if you have to deal with somebody else's yagging and moaning because you had to drive or whatnot. So, so that's a good thing for now. But it's definitely coming back. Like, it's definitely old school, less people. Like, I touch more stuff now than I ever have. It's crazy how much stuff you touch, which I like personally, but it's hard. Like, I remember when I wanted to do more, when I was a lower guy, I wanted to do more, and they wouldn't let you, and then you almost had to let them do something because there's so much to do. And now it's like no practice, no prep, no backup car. That's huge. That's the other thing.
Right and go.
Yeah. That's the other thing with the price. Like, when you don't have practice or qualifying, a backup car, a wrap on a car, is $3,000 or something, I think. So going back to saving money, like, you don't get no sponsors, right? So we got 7 different sponsors, whatever it is. Well, the next week, the backup car is the same backup car because you don't got enough cars to do it, right? So when that next car comes, it's Tire Pros one week, and then the next week it might be, Chevrolet, like it was for Martinsville. Well, that's backup car has to be wrapped that. Well, you take that wrap off, put that wrap on, then the next week it's Tires Pro, put that wrap back on. $3,000, $3,000, and you're not even using the car.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's so like you can push it to the side and say, okay, we're going to use this one in a couple of weeks because that's going to be our sponsor.
Exactly. There's not enough cars for that. You can't afford to do that. Plus, on top of that, we don't have a motor in it. So that saves some money because they don't let you put motors in them no more. So now you feel like you need more people at the track because if you get it out, you don't have a motor in it. You got to put a motor in. Right. But, so that's even harder. But all that is to save money. But it's obviously makes it a little harder on the guys, and now you have less of them. But it's all good. But but that's ways they're trying to save money, which is good. It's good. From me coming through this whole time, when I definitely less work on the things. Like, we used to work so hard on things you didn't race. All the spare parts in the truck, the backup car, it's got to be right. It's got to be ready. It's got to be right. Got to be ready. You think about changing a whole, when you get a brand new car, you're getting it 3 weeks ahead, and then you already just make your stuff right 1 week ahead, setups right 1 week ahead. Oh, now it's the week of, it's already right. Double check it, go. Instead, you're getting there on Monday morning, unloading a car that was ready for the last week, changing it to this week, changing studs, changing all that stuff. Like, it's mind-boggling how much work it is. Steering boxes, I mean, add on the list. And then you work all that time just to take it off the next week. You didn't even race it, you know.
Right.
It's one guy we have doing that, you know, and that's his job pretty much.
Right.
But he also travels. So,
Sure. Yeah, and that's like you're working 8 days a week.
yeah. And that's the other thing, too, travel. Like, you know, like Darlington, we have to go up Friday night because of early opening. But we've been one day traveling a lot with this stuff. Like Talladega flew down. We had to fly down Friday night for that one because early, all that tech for obviously speedway race. But besides them two, we've been in, out. Well, same day. You used to go down Thursday nights and be there till Saturday night.
That's right.
And Cup guys, they'd be down there Thursday night and there Sunday night. But they're doing the same thing we are. Fly in Sunday morning, fly out Sunday night.
Right.
So, I mean, you're not even getting the, you know, for a young guy, you're not getting the travel aspect anyway. But now it's like, you better know what you're doing and you better know it good because it's fast.
Sure. So does Bill Wilburn ever give you the speech about back in the days and that kind of thing?
Listen, Billy Wilburn gives me lots of speeches. He's definitely a good guy to have working beside you. I mean, our plates are side by side, so I get advice all the time from Billy. But yeah, back in the day, this wouldn't be acceptable. Back in the day, this ain't how we did it or
That's
whatever.
right.
And I like that. Like, I like you know, because sometimes stuff is, because racing's like, just like she asked about the engineering and the money, you know, it's not so much the money got real high and it's coming back down, but the engineering is to a new level, like heading towards F1, you know, and I think they're trying to dumb it down, and sometimes they push it back up. Like EFI pushed it back up. They felt like they were no more computers, and then EFI, and it's like, make up your mind.
Right.
But so the engineering is really, you know, setting up a car ain't what it used to be. There ain't no string, you know, we got a couple things we do with strings, but it used to be gauges and strings and this. Now it's like, hey, the computer says it's this, just double check it's that. And most time it's right.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's kind of dumbed it down some, but that right there alone, Billy's like, that ain't how we'd have done it. Like, we need to check it like this.
Yes.
That's how we did it. And then you go and try to backtrack and double check the engineering, and 90% of the time it backs it up. Sometimes it don't. So it's interesting.
So if you're just tuning in on 92.9 at FM and 550 AM, we're talking to Danny Earnhardt Jr. here in the Randy Marion studio on Racing Roots with Hamm. And so I had another question about, actually ask RD's question, Tracy.
Oh, let's see. I
Looks
don't
like
know
a pretty
where
long one.
Artie's- Okay. Engine question.
Oh, no.
Oh, I might have to answer this one.
I'm glad you're
some
here.
other-
I'm glad you're here.
RD, I think, excuse me, I'm going to have to answer this one some other time because we got like 5 minutes left. and
Okay, so I'll ask another question
yeah,
Rachel was
sorry,
asking.
RD, I'll get to that.
Let's see. Let me get back to it. What would you recommend to NASCAR?
To NASCAR? Oh, you know, I think they do a really good job. I obviously would recommend if they shorten the season, the pay-per-view I did. I love it. I mean, it don't have to be pay-per-view, but just a one-off race. It don't have to be bring what you want. I don't know if that'd be a good idea, but just a stock type deal. And if you fail tech, you're out. You know, if you fail the first time, you're out of here. Like, just some crazy stuff like that where people got to really box them in. I won't say rock, but, you know, really let them go and only pay the winner. Now, that's kind of crazy and probably won't ever happen, but you know, NASCAR does pretty good. I can't think of none off the top of my head I like to see, but I think they just need to do a little better on some penalty stuff. Seems like they've had favoritism on some of that stuff, and there's a lot of times, you know, people have no idea what NASCAR's telling us during the race, and some of it's been probably in our favor, some of it's not been, but there's sometimes you don't really understand why you're going to the back, like, and then they come down later and be like, sorry, which is human error, and it happens, and it's all good, you know, it happens, but that's some of the stuff that, but they honestly treat us really well. It's pretty fair, and there was a lot of suggestions I had 2 years ago, for sure, like a lot, but they have really made this COVID new deal here pretty easy, and I think it's worked out better with lower practice and stuff. You know, I definitely think they better consider, you know, not taking away any more people, because we have trouble pushing the car.
Sure.
That's
so that'd be about it. But it's really hard when you don't got enough people. And, you know, somebody gets sick, like I don't know if y'all know, but Mid-Ohio, we have to do our own pit stops in Xfinity with the crew guys that have been on your roster. Not the pit crew, but they're not as fast as possible. It's like a 35 second window or something. But some of our guys, like, that's not even possible for us. Like, you know, we're old school. Some of us are old school, you know. Like, obviously, I should be able to handle myself being 33, but some guys can't, you know. So it's like that's kind of not fair, you know. But I mean, they're just trying to make it easy for everybody because Cup's at a different place that week. So
Right, yeah, for sure. And I want to say hey to Dickie Dennis up there in Virginia. He said great show. Enjoyed Danny's racing roots. And so did Scott Trevison says great show again. Thank you very much. Paul Rodriguez has a quick question. Did you know, or Dickie Dennis? He's the I guess we'll just say it again. Infamous fence climber in 2014 Richmond race.
Oh,
yes.
is he?
He was the guy hanging out on top of the fence.
Good for him.
And throws his
He's
arms
a hero,
up.
man.
That's it. Yes.
I love that.
Yeah, that's great stuff. So everybody, it seems like everybody that I have in here, they're like, oh yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
you have to remember that.
I don't
That was
think
great.
there's been anybody that's not known
Don't
Dickie.
That's
don't
not.
encourage them
Yes.
to do it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, thanks everybody so much for tuning in. But we'll get this last one. Paul Rodriguez.
Yeah, Paul says, what do you think about NASCAR waiting 20 laps to put out the caution for the 8 ARS tire in the infield?
Oh, this last weekend with the 8 car, right?
That's probably what he's talking about.
8 cars in it.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of what I was hitting on about favoritism. I mean, I think they kind of handled that one right, but they could have definitely did something different. I saw somebody say they need a robot. They can drive out that drone or something.
Yeah.
They can drive out there and grab it and pull it back. I thought that was cool. You know, honestly, I think they should just leave it. You know, if it now when they're rolling, if they're going, you know, obviously they would have threw the caution if it was. But I would just leave it out there.
Right.
It
It's
ain't
not
gonna
a
hurt
good thing.
nobody.
Exactly.
No, because that's what I'm saying. You guys, you know, y'all got to understand that sometimes you don't got the best car, right? And you're trying to do all you can do to get the best finish you can. So you might go long right there, hoping for a yellow.
Yeah.
If they throw that yellow because of that tire, that is an advantage. Now, obviously, it was a unique circumstance, but at the same time, like that, it was another error that happened on pit road. It wasn't part of the track. So let it, let it kind of just play out because people are playing for that. Plus, the guy that's the fastest already pitted. So like you're gonna mess his day up because of somebody,
Yes.
And all that happens all the time, and it's just kind of racing. It's just kind of what it is. But I would much rather them see it. Just leave it out there. Leave it.
Yeah,
Just
I
leave.
agree.
If it's laying there like it was, like it wasn't really in the way. Like I would just leave it.
I used to,
not hurting
when I was
nothing.
Jackman in 96, whenever in 95, we would just lay the tires down in the pit stall. I mean, they had to be kind of at least halfway across the line.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it just made it more interesting when cars come plowing through your pit stall and they run into a tire.
See, that's
Hey,
the other thing with the
stay
people.
out.
With
Yeah.
all the low people,
Yeah.
like I used to roll them tires to the wall.
Right.
There ain't no one to catch them.
Nobody
You know
catch
what I mean?
'em.
Like I don't know if
True.
you watch a cup race, the crew chiefs are down doing stuff on the wall because there ain't enough people. Well, we
Right.
got 2 less than them, I think, and the truck's got 1 less than us.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they do it. I mean, I'm sure they look at us like, how do y'all do it?
Right.
Just like we do. But it's like everybody's got to do something. Like it's just kind of where it is.
Yep. Well, maybe I need to come out of retirement and go back to being a Jackman. I could be a
think you're
tuner
good.
Jackman.
Just for Mid Ohio.
set up,
Just for
I
Mid
think you
Ohio.
can
We
do
need
it
you.
for
We need
one
you.
race.
We need a Jack
One
man.
race.
Yes.
Do a throwback race.
Yeah. I'll do that. Mid Ohio. All right. Well, thanks. Well, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Yeah.
It
And
was.
I think you've made your radio debut. So,
Yeah.
Phil, I'm sorry to tell you, brother, but you've been replaced. No, I'm just kidding.
When you need an off day, I'll make a pass.
Yes, there you go. Whenever Phil takes the night off, if he gives me a day ahead notice, then you're in. How's that sound?
That sounds great.
Hey, you can come out and hang out with us anytime.
Yeah, sounds
come out-
fun.
Come in the morning. I'll be here for 6 to 10, but you'll be at work probably.
Yeah, I
Take
will.
that time.
Oh, yeah.
Come in before work.
Yeah, oh, man.
So,
I
yes.
have trouble getting up now.
I know.
And speaking of that, so tune in tomorrow morning for the Billy Buck Morning Show from 6 to 10 a.m. with a side of ham. So I'll be sitting here with Billy. Billy will be over there where Tracy is. So it'll be a good time. Y'all won't get bored with that show. Billy Buck's he owns the station, but he's been in radio for 45 years.
Oh,
since
man.
1975. Do the math.
Wow.
Yeah, yes. So he's very good.
He really loves it.
Yeah, so a lot of our listeners here on the YouTube channel tune in the morning show as well, and including Jim Dooley. Thank you for tuning in here, everybody. And
Still need to spin the wheel
oh, we got to spin the wheel. Okay, so here we go.
for tonight's prize winner.
All right, and Tracy's got the sheet over there. It's color coordinated for our winner, and it's a Carolina blue. So
Carolina blue.
as Tracy looks through the
Boo.
Yeah, I
we
gotta
have
figure
our
it out.
birthday winners in it. Well, birthday winners is something different. I played a harmonica. Happy birthday. But we have we have birthday winner. We spin the wheel to see who wins the birthday.
All right.
prize.
It looks like light blue is Frank Stuckey.
Frank Stuckey, you are our winner today. And so we'll get that prize in the mail to you. Now, my website is currently down because I just said, all right, GoDaddy, you need to go. So I've got a WordPress site. It's in the works. I'm waiting on them. I'm waiting on GoDaddy. It's got to have been 5 days by now. It's 5 to 7 days to transfer my website over. So anyway, but what you can do is go on to the Facebook page, Racing Roots with Hamm, and send me your address and an email address there as well. And I will get your prize in the mail. I'm thinking I'm going to get some help with sending out the prizes here shortly. And so they'll make that happen. But anyway, thanks again for coming in.
No problem.
And you're welcome to come back anytime.
And thanks
Danny
to
Earnhardt.
Jersey Cape Yachts.
And Jersey Cape Yachts, as of course. Give Janine a call up there. And Wayne says, good job tonight. Thank you, Wayne, for tuning in. And tell Janine we said hello. But they have these nice shirts that you can see. Tracy and I are both wearing ours, and tumblers. But more importantly, they have 31 to 66 feet yachts, custom yachts, whatever you want.
Is it feet or foot?
Foots. No, I don't know.
Feetsies.
Let's say 30 to 66, whatever. But Janine at jerseycapeyachts.com, and that's with a G. And you can also check them out on there. Let's say they got a Facebook, an Instagram, a Twitter. I always tagged them on Twitter, and you can search YouTube videos as well, but jerseycapeyachts.com, or give them a call, 609-965-8650. And so y'all have a good time with that.
Thanks to all the
sure I get
family
everything
that tuned in.
Yes. Yeah, thanks to all of Danny's Earnhardt family and Yuri family for tuning in. And y'all tune in next week. Next week's guest is going to be... Oh, yeah, and a shout-out to Billy Wilburn. He had to miss tonight, but I think I'm going to get him back in 2 weeks from now. But Darren Russell's going to be in with me next week. And he's the tuner for Keselowski right now.
Oh, that's coincidence.
Yes.
That's cool.
I know. How about that? And I'm trying to get Keselowski to at least stop by, because I'm thinking I still have to talk a little more to Billy about it. We're going to be broadcasting down at the Bank of America. I think it's down here. For 7
Scaffolding.
Yes, it's 7 days for the troops, just to raise money for the disabled veterans that come back and need assistance. So we're gonna I'm gonna try to broadcast live from up there.
That's gonna be hot.
Should be interesting.
At the same time, be nighttime up here.
Yes, exactly. Hopefully it won't be raining or anything. But anyway, yes. All right. So thanks for tuning in. This is Hamm, and we'll see you back here tomorrow morning for the Billy Buck Morning Show. Good night.
Thanks for tuning in.
Real Country 550 and 92.9 WAME and W225BD Statesville.
Tune in Monday through Friday mornings at 8:10 for The Impossible Question, sponsored by Groucho's Deli. Nothing is impossible with
He's a
Groucho's.
25-year NASCAR veteran, engine builder, and jackman.
Live every Monday evening, we have a new guest.
From the racing world with their stories, their paths,
Their racing roots. Sponsored by Jersey Cape Yachts.
Tune in Monday through Friday mornings at 8:10 for The Impossible Question, sponsored by Groucho's Deli. Nothing is impossible with Groucho's fast, fresh, and original menu items. Groucho's has something for everyone.